Hey guys, it's me, MissCharlottie, and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today I'm here to show you guys some tips and tricks on how to improve a super early game and basic starter home. Early game can be incredibly difficult, as for building you don't really have a lot of materials at your dispense. A lot of the time you end up getting some normal oak wood or some birch wood and also some cobblestone, and kind of that's what you're really left to build with at first before you really upgrade and get some tools and materials. Now I'm here to show you that even if you have limited blocks at the beginning of your gameplay, you don't necessarily have to build a really basic build. So without further ado, let's get started. So a lot of start homes that you may see some people make that they would consider a little bit more basic and boring are these types of starter homes. It includes basically a pretty box house with a cobblestone roof, and it's mainly made of wood. We've got some glass for the windows, we have some torches, and also inside we have the basics of a crafting bench, a furnace, a double chest, and a bed. And you know, this completely works, and it works for Minecraft early game, to be honest. For those of you who really enjoy building, it can be quite frustrating to start with a build that looks like this, and so you may want to just give it a little bit of extra zhuzh to make it look a bit fancier. So I have a pretty much identical build right here, and instead of building a brand new build, I'm actually going to modify this one that you may start with and turn it into something a little bit different and a little bit more exciting. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So first of all, the first thing I don't massively love about this type of house is they are super flat looking. Like, obviously Minecraft is a block game, and so it's very difficult to let things look a bit, you know, more dimensional and not very blocky and flat. But there are a few things you can do to add a bit of dimension. I'm going to start with something super basic, and that is going to be moving the door to where it is to inside a little bit. So you can actually place doors two ways on one block. So this way it opens like this. However, if I walk onto this side and place it here, it's actually on this end of the block instead. And so when we close it, it already adds a little bit of dimension to the build, just because instead of being on par with like this wooden edge, it's actually in a little bit. And so it just gives it a little bit of a cozier feel and already makes it look a lot less blocky. Also, as you can tell, I actually went for a different wood for the door. So this is actually a spruce door, which is slightly darker than oak wood, because my second tip would definitely be use a mixture of different colors of the same material. So you may just have access to a few basic woods, but in general, if you can find yourself two types of wood, even if this is birch and oak, because those are normally in the basic forest, using a variety of these in your build can just add a little bit more texture and color and make everything look also a lot less flat. So that's why I'm going to be using a spruce door, and I'm going to be putting it on the inside. The next thing I kind of want to change is the walls. Now, I don't mind the oak walls. I think that's really nice. You know, it looks cool, but it is all one wood. And again, like, we want to add just a bit of texture and color, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the oak logs, and instead of having the corner pieces as wood all the way up here, I'm actually going to change these and make them into pillars like this. So they're kind of like little supporting columns of each corner. Now you can do this with any wood, because typically the logs for different wood types are different colors to the planks. So it looks a little bit more varied, and it already looks a lot less simple than the original build over here. Also, for the door bit, I feel like this looks a little bit off. So I'm actually going to build a similar pillar here so it kind of matches, and obviously this bit looks a little bit strange. So I am going to knock that out. And to add something a little bit more fancy, I'm actually going to get an oak stair, and I'm going to place it looking upwards like this. And it gives it a little bit of like a little canopy kind of porchy area. I think, again, this is cute. It adds a little bit of structure and kind of makes the door look quite purposeful. And on the inside, it looks exactly the same as if you did it with a block. So it kind of just adds that nice detail to the outside, which I really like. Next up, I think I am going to work on something a little bit more simple, which is going to be placing torches in different places. So normally I feel like people like to put torches in line with the door, which I think does kind of make sense. But also when you've got two high windows like this, I feel like torches a little bit lower down look strange. One thing I normally do with my builds is I always place my torches quite high up, because I feel like it looks better. Also, because we've built these pillars, we can make them seem a little bit more purposeful and have the torches actually on the pillars like this. Next up, I'm going to make some changes to the roof. Now, at the moment, we have a super basic roof just using cobblestone. And something to improve it even slightly is adding some cobblestone stairs instead. As you can see, in comparison, if we just change this looks a lot more smoother, a lot less blocky, and just really much nicer. So instead of having blocks everywhere, I'm actually going to change them to cobblestone stairs like this, which is a super simple change. It obviously takes a few more blocks to craft a stair rather than keeping them as blocks, but I think it's definitely a change that is worth making. Now, another thing you can do to add a little bit more texture to a certain aspect of your build, for example, we're going to be doing it for the roof, is adding a very similar material that maybe is slightly different in color or texture. And so, for example, we are going to be switching out some of these cobblestone stairs with andesite stairs like this. Andesite is a material that's pretty easy to get early game also, so I thought I would use this one for this example. So to texture, I normally just take a few blocks and change them randomly. I try to make sure they're on different height levels and make it look a little bit random so it's super scattered. And also don't be afraid to put two blocks right next to each other like this. I also like to see it as starting with one block, which is the main block, and then putting the secondary block in, because I feel like it's good to still have a main block and then an accent block, if that makes sense. We're also going to change some of the slabs up here like this. As you can see, the roof is looking a lot more varied. I'm also even going to add some to the trim like this. Next up, I'm going to move on to changing the windows. Now, I don't mind the window shape too much, to be honest. One thing I don't really like actually is on the inside having windows touch the end. So I am going to break this bit of glass, but these I don't really mind. They're quite big windows, but I mean, you may want some big windows in your house. The one super small change that you can make that I think makes such a massive difference is instead of having glass blocks, deleting these and adding glass panes instead, like this. These just look so much less blocky, as you can see, because they only go on the middle section of the block rather than the whole thing. And I feel like it already adds just a lot of dimension. I've said that like 10,000 times in this video, but it really does. Like, look at the difference this makes. It's a little bit harder to see with like the texture packs I have going on because the glass is very, very see-through. So I'm going to break all of these and change these from glass blocks to glass panes. Also, like we did on the outside, I am going to place these torches a little bit higher up like this. And now just checking on what the outside is looking like, it is looking so much better than the original build. Like, already it just looks a lot more enhanced, a lot more different, and I'm really liking it. Next up, we're going to add a little bit more detail, and this is going to be using another wood type like we did for the door, and I'm going to be trying to add some fences and some trapdoors to add a little bit more detail. So something I feel like improves everything in Minecraft is flowers and beautiful natural features like the grass. And one thing you can do to add to your house with this early game is making a really simple flower box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 3 pieces of dirt and place them right under the window like here. I'm then going to get some trapdoors and place these on these blocks so they flip up like that. We're also going to do it on the sides like so. You will have to wait for these dirt blocks to turn it into grass. I'm just going to speed that up for us. And as you can see, it makes a cute little window box. And to finish this off, I'm just going to bone meal it until I get the flowers I want. Alternatively, you can pick these flowers, obviously. And I'm going to simply place these here. And then we have like a really cute flower box. I feel like this is something super simple to add. But again, it adds a little bit more of a structure to your house. And it makes it a lot less flat. And also it's something you can see on the inside as well, which is quite a cute view. And so just to make sure that we add a little bit more, I'm going to do a similar thing, but this is going to be on the other side, so it's sort of mirrored. You could probably add another one here at the back, but I feel like it might be overkill, so I'm just going to go for these 2 little flower beds. Next up, I'm going to use a little more detail by using some fences and spruce gates. So this is going to be really simple. I'm just going to make a bit of a front garden. So I'm going to build from the pillar, and I'm going to kind of match the terrain and come down. So I'm just going to bring it in here with a gap that lines up with the door like that. I'm then going to be doing a very similar thing, but instead of going out from this pillar, I'm actually just going to come straight down. So it's a little bit of a smaller garden, and I'm going to bring it all the way here again so it lines up with the door. Now I'm going to place a little bit of a gate in there as well. We can add some torches to the ends as well, and we're also going to get a bit of bone meal just so we can spruce it up and add a little bit of grass and flower, which I think is nice. Now you can leave this like this, or you can go and get a shovel, which is super easy to do. do. And you can actually break this and build a bit of a path. You can even finish this off with having the path around, and to add a little bit more of a overgrown feel to it, add some random dirt parts throughout the garden like that with the pathing. And there we go. I think that's looking really, really cool. To finish it off, I'm just going to get a lovely little oak sapling and plant a tree or two like this, and just bone meal around in general. You know, it's always nice to have some greenery, etc. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I think that is everything I would do to improve this home. So we started off with a build that looked a bit like this and transformed it into a build that looked like this. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed seeing how you can slightly change a really basic starter home into something a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. If you would like to see how I would transform the inside of this build and work on some interior, please do let me know, because I can do that in another video. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is how you go from a really basic starter home to something a little bit more exciting. If you guys did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what other videos you would like to see on this channel. Also, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified every time I upload a video. And that is pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.